All right, Raider Nation, buckle up because this week's energy is different. You can feel it in the air, in the way guys are practicing, in the way coaches are talking, and in the way fans are buzzing. There's just something about going up against the San Francisco 49ers that turns every ounce of focus into a burning rivalry vibe. It's not just another preseason week, it's a proving ground, a chance to set the tone, and everyone knows it. The players feel it, the coaches feel it, and even out here talking to you, I feel it. So let's get into it because the story of this week is all about momentum. Whose arrow is pointing up, whose arrow is pointing down, and how that can shift before we even get to kickoff. Let's start with the offense, because there's no way to ignore what rookie quarterback Cam Miller has been doing. The kid came in as a sixth-rounder out of North Dakota State, and you could tell early in camp that he wasn't here just to wear the uniform. He's been delivering in practice, but against Seattle in that preseason game, he didn't just deliver. He popped off the screen. 6 completions on 7 attempts, poised in the pocket, willing to push the ball downfield, and then that gorgeous 41-yard touchdown strike to Cedric Jackson. That's the kind of throw that makes you sit up in your seat and go, hold on, who is this kid? He's confident, he's not rattled by the moment, and he's taking full advantage of his reps. You can see the trust building between him and the receivers, and when a young quarterback starts stacking plays like that, his stock shoots straight up. Now, every time someone rises, someone else inevitably feels the squeeze, and unfortunately, that's where Aidan O'Connell finds himself right now. This doesn't mean he's been replaced. It doesn't mean he's suddenly QB3, but the truth is his stock is trending in the opposite direction at the moment. He's had a tougher time finding rhythm, and Miller's performances have naturally put a bit of extra heat on him. And maybe that's not a bad thing. Sometimes a little fire under a player forces him to hit another gear. But this is a pivotal week for O'Connell. With joint practices against the 49ers coming, this is where you prove you're the guy who can handle adversity, pick up your game, and remind everyone why you've been in that QB2 spot. From the quarterback room, we slide over to the wide receivers. And here's a name that's been quietly forcing his way into the conversation, Alex Bachman. Coming into camp, he was slotted in as the 5th receiver, hanging out behind guys like Jakobi Meyers, Trey Tucker, Jack Bech, and Dante Thornton Jr., but Bachman has been seizing every opportunity, while others have struggled to get traction. One player who's unfortunately seen his stock tumble is Tommy Mellott, the former Montana State quarterback turned receiver. He came in with the hype of an FCS Heisman winner, a guy who could contribute not just as a receiver, but on special teams, returning punts and kicks. But in reality, the depth chart has been pushing him further and further down. Early talk about him being the lead returner has faded, and now he's sitting 4th in that rotation. Special teams reps are being given to Bachman, to Sincere McCormick, Dylan Lobby, Trey Tucker, and even Ashton Janney in some experimental looks. When you're a rookie trying to make a mark, losing those snaps is a warning sign, and right now Mellott is slipping in the pecking order. And then there's the offensive line. Always a battleground for roster battles, and always a test of depth. If we're being honest, it was hard to find anyone in that group whose stock went up after the Seattle game. The unit struggled, plain and simple. But if we dig in, there's at least one name worth mentioning in a positive light, Antonio Mafi. This is a guy who wasn't even on the radar to get first-team reps at right guard, and yet here he is, sliding in during Sunday's practice and working with the ones. That alone tells you the coaches see something they want to explore. There's a connection here, too. Mafi played college ball at UCLA when Chip Kelly was there, and relationships like that can carry weight in the NFL. On the flip side, Thayer Munford Jr. had a game to forget. His performance against Seattle was rough, and the grade he pulled from the analytics folks, 36.6 overall, reflects it. Frankly, it could have been even lower based on the tape. That's the kind of outing that forces coaches to shuffle rotations and see if someone else can step up. When you zoom out and look at this offense right now, you can feel the shifting energy. Cam Miller is climbing, forcing conversations in the QB room. Bachman is climbing, taking special teams work and turning it into opportunity. Mafi is climbing, showing he might have a bigger role to play than anyone expected a couple weeks ago. On the other end, O'Connell, Mellott, and Munford are facing a critical stretch where they have to respond. And this isn't just about a preseason stat sheet. It's about earning trust in the building, convincing coaches and teammates that when the season starts, you can be counted on to get the job done. And all of this is happening with the 49ers on deck, which just adds fuel to the fire. Joint practices this week are going to be intense. Every rep will be filmed, every one-on-one will be scrutinized, and for fringe roster guys, every snap is a potential make-or-break moment. The thing about weeks like this is they're not just about scheme or playbooks. They're about competitive DNA. When the guy across from you is wearing a different color helmet and trying to win his own job, how do you respond? Do you shrink or do you raise your level? That's what makes this stretch so important for the players whose stock is down. This is the chance to flip the script before preseason week 2 is in the books. Even in a short sample size, Cam Miller has shown he belongs in these conversations. His command, his decision-making, and his willingness to throw downfield aren't typical for a rookie drafted on day 3. There's an unshakable quality in how he carries himself, and that's why his arrow is pointed up. The challenge now is sustaining it. Defenses are going to get more film on him, and the 49ers defense, even in preseason, isn't going to be as forgiving as Seattle's was. But that's what you want to see. Can he keep stacking good days against a tougher opponent? For Aidan O'Connell, it's about weathering the storm. Every quarterback goes through stretches where the ball isn't coming out quite right, where the reads feel a beat slow, or where chemistry with receivers is just a hair off. The question is whether you let that linger or you flip the momentum back in your favor. O'Connell has experience dealing with coaching changes, system changes, and moving parts around him. That's valuable, and it's something he can lean on this week. But make no mistake, he has to show something in these joint practices and in the upcoming game to cool down the noise. The cornerback room has its own shakeup brewing. At the nickel spot, rookie Jacorian Bennett's role is secure, but for guys like Darnay Holmes, the ground is starting to shift. Kaiir Elam's not here, but Kai Blue Kelly is, and he's making a case for himself. Kelly's game against Seattle was a roller coaster early, targeted right away and giving up a couple completions. But what mattered was the response. 2 big pass breakups and tighter coverage the rest of the way. The grading backed it up, with Kelly landing an overall mark in the low 80s, second best on the team behind only Jamal Adams. That kind of bounce back is exactly what coaches want to see. Add to that the physical edge that greedy Vance has been showing all camp and in the team's mock game, and suddenly the competition in the slot is looking a lot more fierce. Vance isn't the biggest guy on the field, but he plays like someone twice his size, unafraid to throw his body into tackles and mix it up at the line. That energy is infectious, and it's hard to ignore. For Holmes, who does have a connection to defensive coordinator Patrick Graham, the clock is ticking. This league can be brutal about moving on if someone else shows they can do your job with more juice. Up front, the defensive line has been in flux ever since Christian Wilkins left. Losing a player of that caliber is always going to create a void, and when the guy who is filling in, Lucky Fodu, ends up in a walking boot, the depth chart starts to feel thin fast. That's opened the door for a few names to step into the light, and Thomas Booker has been one of them. Booker, who just arrived via trade, has wasted no time making his presence felt. Against Seattle, he not only got snaps with the first team, he flashed real disruption on the interior. Quick hands, leverage, and the kind of push that collapses a pocket from the inside out. For a team looking for someone to create that kind of havoc, it's exactly what you want to see. On the other side of the coin, Jonathan Hankins, or in this case, John Jenkins? No, it's Jonathan Lalu who took the big hit to his stock. His game against Seattle was, frankly, rough. Low grade, minimal impact, and with other guys like Zach Carter, Tonka Hemingway, and undrafted rookie Tank Booker getting more and more run with the ones, the writing's on the wall. When the coaching staff starts giving your snaps to newcomers and UDFAs, that's the kind of roster signal you can't ignore. The thing about this Raiders defense right now is that it feels like it's still being molded in real time. Some positions are seeing aggressive competition because of performance dips, and others are getting reshaped by necessity due to injuries. Safety is a perfect example. It wasn't necessarily a priority position 2 weeks ago, but between Lonnie Johnson Jr.'s injury, the struggles from Smith and Taylor, and the team's interest in finding a veteran stabilizer, it's suddenly a hot topic. Corner has the same vibe, with guys like Kelly and Vance throwing punches, metaphorically speaking, in every practice to prove they belong higher up the chart. The defensive line is the most unsettled of all, because interior defensive tackle is such a specific need, and right now, only a couple players are showing they can consistently win those battles in the trenches. Joint practices against the 49ers are going to be fascinating for this side of the ball. San Francisco's offense is loaded with quick decision passing, dangerous yards after catch threats, and a run game that will test every gap in your defense. For a safety like Edmonds, it's a perfect test. Can you come downhill in time to stop a sweep before it hits the corner? Can you cover the flat against a back like Christian McCaffrey without overcommitting and giving up the wheel route? For a corner like Kelly, it's about handling spacing concepts where the quarterback is trying to manipulate you with his eyes. And for the big boys inside, it's trench warfare against a disciplined, athletic offensive line. If you win here, it's not an accident. It's proof you can hang against one of the league's best units. There's also a bigger picture element to this week. The preseason isn't just about making the 53-man roster. For some of these defenders, it's about carving out a role that actually gets them on the field when games count. Special teams value is part of that, but so is versatility. If you can play both safety and nickel, you're more valuable. If you can slide between 3-tech and 5-tech, you're more valuable. Coaches are watching not just for flash plays, but for adaptability. That's why someone like Greedy Vance, despite being undersized, is pushing hard. He's showing he can blitz, cover, and tackle in space. And it's why someone like Thomas Booker can rocket up the chart. He's showing he can rush the passer and still anchor against the run. What's most intriguing is the mindset shift you can see in certain players. The ones whose stock is going up aren't just making plays. They're playing with an edge that says they know the stakes. Edmonds has walked in the door and immediately carried himself like he belongs in the starting conversation. Kelly didn't sulk after a couple early completions against him. He locked in, adjusted, and made the next plays count. Booker didn't treat his first-team reps like a cameo. He treated them like an audition for a full-time role. That's the kind of urgency that changes careers. On the flip side, the guys whose stock is down are in a race against time. Chris Smith and Trey Taylor can't afford another shaky outing, because the more the coaches see them struggle in live action, the more they'll lean on veterans or look outside the building for answers. Holmes has to make himself undeniable in practice reps, because game tape, right now, isn't working in his favor. And Lalu, as tough as it is to say, is in a spot where one or two more performances like the last one could mean the difference between making the roster and being on the outside looking in. This week is going to be telling, not just for individual players, but for how the Raiders' defense as a whole is coming together. The 49ers aren't going to roll out their full playbook, but their style of offense, fast, efficient, and creative, will stress every level of the defense. The Raiders need to show they can communicate in the secondary, tackle in space, and generate at least some interior push without leaving themselves vulnerable to cutback lanes in the run game. Those are the little things that might not make the highlight reels, but absolutely determine whether a defense can hold up over the course of season. In the grand scheme, the defensive storylines mirror the offensive ones. Young players pushing veterans, surprise risers forcing difficult decisions, and established names fighting to keep their place. It's the natural cycle of an NFL roster in August, but the urgency feels sharper when you've got a rivalry game, even in the preseason, on the immediate horizon. This isn't just about evaluation. It's about setting a tone. If the Raiders' defense can come out of this week showing growth, physicality, and cohesion, it's going to resonate well beyond the preseason scoreboard. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The sports world is buzzing with an explosive rumor that seems almost too shocking to be true. Josh Allen, the star quarterback known for his fierce arm and dynamic play with the Buffalo Bills, is reportedly making a seismic shift in the NFL landscape. Whispers have been circulating that Allen has officially left the Bills and is now poised to become the new face of the Las Vegas Raiders offense. This would represent one of the most dramatic quarterback moves in recent memory, reshaping not just the fortunes of two franchises, but potentially altering the balance of power in the league. Fans and analysts alike are struggling to digest the implications of such a move, questioning what this could mean for the Bills' future without their electric leader and how the Raiders plan to integrate such a high-profile talent into their system. The speculation has sparked a firestorm of debate across social media platforms, sports talk shows, and insider circles, with many trying to piece together how this deal came to fruition and what motivated Allen to make such a bold decision. While no official statements have been made beyond initial announcements, the buzz is palpable, and the NFL community is bracing for a wave of ripple effects that this change will inevitably bring. In the midst of these swirling rumors, questions abound regarding the motivation behind Josh Allen's sudden departure from Buffalo. Could it be a matter of contractual dissatisfaction, a clash with management, or simply a desire for a new challenge in a different environment? Sources close to the situation suggest a complex mix of factors, including possible frustrations with the Bills' front office and a perceived ceiling on the team's championship aspirations. Meanwhile, the Raiders, a franchise with a storied history but recent struggles, appear eager to capitalize on Allen's exceptional talents to revitalize their offense and make a serious playoff push. The prospect of Allen under center in Las Vegas has ignited discussions about the potential for a new era of Raider football, with offensive coordinators rumored to be redesigning playbooks to maximize his dual-threat capabilities. Speculation also hints at the involvement of key figures within the Raiders organization pushing aggressively to secure a franchise quarterback who can elevate the team's status from playoff hopeful to legitimate contender. This potential quarterback swap is being dissected as not just a trade or signing, but as a strategic masterstroke that could define the trajectory of the Raiders for years to come. Adding another layer to the intrigue, insiders are debating the impact of this quarterback move on the broader NFL landscape, particularly within the AFC. Josh Allen has been a pivotal figure in the Bills' recent successes, leading them to multiple playoff appearances and firmly establishing himself as one of the league's elite quarterbacks. His departure leaves a glaring void in Buffalo, sparking speculation about who will rise to fill his shoes and whether the team can maintain its competitive edge. Meanwhile, the Raiders' acquisition of Allen is being viewed as a direct challenge to established powerhouses, potentially shifting divisional dynamics and intensifying rivalries. The timing of this move, just before the new season's preparations, has fueled rumors that this is part of a larger strategic realignment in the AFC, with several teams watching closely to adapt to the new quarterback landscape. Sports commentators are drawing comparisons to other blockbuster quarterback moves in history, suggesting that this transition could be equally transformative. The buzz around this potential shift also highlights the growing trend of quarterbacks wielding significant influence in their career trajectories, choosing destinations that align with their ambitions and playing styles. From a fan perspective, the rumor of Josh Allen's move to the Raiders has generated a whirlwind of emotions ranging from excitement to disbelief. Bills fans are reportedly feeling a mix of shock and sadness at the loss of their iconic leader, whose highlight reel plays and charismatic leadership made him a beloved figure in Buffalo. Conversely, Raiders supporters are experiencing an influx of optimism, imagining the electrifying possibilities of having a quarterback with Allen's skill set at the helm. Online forums and fan communities have exploded with debates about the potential outcomes, discussing everything from offensive schemes to locker room dynamics and long-term franchise visions. Merchandise sales for both teams are rumored to be affected, as fans scramble to either commemorate Allen's tenure in Buffalo or celebrate his arrival in Las Vegas. This kind of passionate response underscores the significant cultural impact a star quarterback can have beyond just the game, influencing team identity and fan engagement. While some remain skeptical and are waiting for official confirmations or clarifications, the ongoing rumor has already succeeded in capturing the collective imagination of football enthusiasts nationwide. Looking ahead, the potential consequences of Josh Allen joining the Raiders are vast and multifaceted, sparking endless speculation about what lies ahead for both the player and the teams involved. Will Allen seamlessly transition into the Raider offense and replicate the success he enjoyed in Buffalo, Or will the change in environment present unforeseen challenges? Analysts are pondering how the Raiders' coaching staff will adjust their strategies to leverage Allen's strengths while mitigating any weaknesses. Meanwhile, the Bills face the daunting task of rebuilding their quarterback position and maintaining their competitiveness in a fiercely contested conference. This rumored move also raises questions about the NFL's quarterback market and how such high-profile player shifts might influence future trades and signings. Additionally, there is intense curiosity about the contractual and financial implications behind the scenes, including salary cap maneuvers and endorsement deals. Ultimately, whether this rumor solidifies into a confirmed reality or remains a tantalizing what-if, it has undeniably injected fresh intrigue and excitement into the NFL offseason narrative, leaving fans and insiders alike eagerly awaiting the next developments in this unfolding saga. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.